across Pennsylvania, you meet workers who've been in a plant for 20 years, and suddenly the job gets shipped overseas, and they don't just lose their job, they lose their pension, they lose their health care. They're trying to figure out how to make ends meet, working at a $7, $8 an hour job with a local fast food joint or at Walmart. All across this country, you meet veterans of Iraq, some of them with post-traumatic stress disorder, some of them homeless, and they're wondering why it is that the country seems to have forgotten their service. You know, people have lost trust and faith in their government because they don't feel like anybody's listening to them. And they're, unfortunately, all too often they're right. Because Washington has come to be dominated by special interests and lobbyists. I mean, we've been talking about healthcare reform for decades now, but nothing ever happens. Why is that? Well, drug companies and insurance companies spent $1 billion over the last decade preventing reform from happening. Energy. We've been talking about the energy crisis since 1973, since Jimmy Carter. Students, you weren't born. You weren't even a twinkle in the eye. That's how long we've been talking about it. Well, why is it nothing ever changes? Well, it helps understand when Cheney was put in charge of energy policy by George Bush, he met with the environmental groups once, he met with the renewable energy groups once, he met with the oil and gas companies 40 times. So is it any wonder then that the laws that come out of Washington are very good for ExxonMobil, but they're not so good for you? The point is that unless we change how politics is done in Washington, then nothing's going to change. There will be a lot of talk on the campaign trail. People will put out their 10-point plans, but ultimately your voices won't be heard. On the other hand, if we change how politics is done, and that's what this campaign has been all about, the reason I don't take PAC money, the reason I don't take money from federal lobbyists, the reasons that I've worked on ethics reform, to make government more responsive. If you are in the driver's seat, if you as citizens are setting the agenda in Washington, then we can go ahead and tell the lobbyists that their days of dominance are over. They have not funded my campaign, they will not run my White House, and they will not drown out the voices of the American people when I'm President of the United States of America. Start tackling the issues that really matter to people. We can stop talking about the outrage of 47 million people without health insurance and start doing something about it. I put forward a plan that says every American who doesn't have health care can get health care that is at least as good as the health care I have as a member of Congress. And if they can't afford it, we will subsidize them so they can get that care. And people won't be excluded for pre-existing conditions. And if you already have health insurance, then we're going to work with your employer to lower your premiums by $2,500 per family per year. And if you're a senior citizen that needs prescription drugs, we're going to negotiate with prescription drug companies to get the lowest available price on drugs. And we are going to emphasize prevention, so we've got a healthcare system and not a disease care system. And we're not going to wait 20 years from now to do it, or 10 years from now to do it. We're going to do it by the end of my first term as President of the United States of America. It's time we made education world-class for every American child, from the day they are born till the day they graduate from college. This is a great school, but there are too many schools that aren't working for our kids. And we know how to fix them. If we invest in early childhood education, we can close the achievement gap and make sure that every child is prepared when they start school. And I don't want to talk about how great teachers are. I want to reward them for their greatness by giving them higher salaries and giving them more support. And I think we have to have the highest standards in the world for our schools. We are falling behind, especially in math and science. So we've got to have high standards. But I don't want those high standards measured just by a single high-stakes standardized test. Because I don't want teachers teaching the test. I want our kids learning art and music and science and poetry and civics and history. Because that will make them not just competitors in the workplace, but good we made college affordable for everybody. So I propose a $4,000 tuition credit, every student, every year. But students, you're going to have to give something back in return. Spend some time in community service, spend some time in national service, work in a homeless shelter, work in a veterans home, join the Peace Corps. We'll invest in you, you invest in America. Together we'll march this country forward. I want an economy that's more fair. Now, I believe in the free market and entrepreneurship and business. But when a CEO of a company is making more in 10 minutes than ordinary workers are making in an entire year, and the CEO gets a tax break and the worker gets nothing, and when the company goes belly up, the CEO walks away with $1 million bonus and the worker loses his pension, something's wrong. Something is wrong, and it has to be changed. And so we're going to stop giving tax breaks to companies that ship jobs overseas. Give those tax breaks to companies that are investing here in the United States of America.